of the Crow. Welcome you all to the second day of the workshop on Python. Before starting, I want to remind you that at the end of this workshop, you will be provided with a certificate which you can add to your LinkedIn profile based on your attendance throughout the session and on your score in a test that will be held at the end of the workshop. We have considered your response on the previous day and we'll try to follow that. With this, I would like to introduce today's speakers, Mustaq Ahmed and Shomodip Dotto. We will first start the session with Mustaq, followed by Shomodip. So, Mustaq, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay.
Uh, so I can start.
Yes, you can start.
Okay, so hello, good evening, everyone. Uh, so yes, thanks for your feedback yesterday. We looked into each one of those feedback, and we will be trying our best as much as we can to teach you from the very basics as much as I could. I would like everyone to pay attention here if you're engaged in something else, because we are starting now. Rigom, confirm me, I'm sharing my screen.
Okay.
It's there.
Yeah, it's visible. Everyone, if it's visible on your screen, please uh,
Give a
reply with a
thumbs up.
thumbs up.
Okay.
Okay, so we see a
Okay.
lot of
Okay.
thumbs ups. So we can
Someone
start.
has someone has raised a hand. Is that the mistake?
No, there's no hand raised.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay.
Okay, you can
So
start.
uh, today, today is the second day. Yesterday we talked about the overview of the workshop. Uh, in general, what we will be teaching these 12 days. So today we are going to start from the basics. We won't get like there. For example, there are two examples where I will be showing two codes, but uh, otherwise, except for that, I have compiled it without any code. So it's from the very basic, and I will be giving examples to make you understand each of the topics that we will be talking today. So I'm starting.
Okay,
And
sorry to interrupt, Mustaq.
yeah, sure.
Uh, is Jeet present here?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay, so there was one request if Jeet could show the installation and working of the environment once more.
Okay. Wait, one sec.
Okay, let them give their presentations today. After that, at last, I will do it.
Okay, thank you, Jeet.
See, everyone. Today we will just be talking about how you will be approaching a problem. What are the steps before coding? So you won't be needing the IDE or the package installation for to run Python. So there's no need right now. After we are done, Jit will give a hands-on demonstration on that. Don't worry. So I'm starting with today's topic. As we can see here, today we will be understanding the programming design principles. Design in the sense how you approach a problem, how do you think about the problem, how you visualize, how you can, uh, all those nuances that we will be talking about today. So the three main topics that I'm going to cover today are the problem solving techniques, how you approach a problem, and we'll also be talking about flowcharts and pseudocodes. In this, we'll also be talking about algorithms. You might have heard that word. And lastly, we'll be talking about clean and maintainable code. We'll get on to it later. So the first topic for today, as we start. is the problem solving techniques. Basically, how do you approach a problem? When a coding problem is given to you, how do you approach it? How do you think about the solution? How do you consider the different situations or test cases, as we call it uh, in the coding environment? So, uh, like, if you talk computers, they, if you are not talking about artificial intelligence, of course, the general computers that we mostly work on, they don't have any intelligence of their own, right? So we'll have to tell them what to do, it how what to do and how to perform those things, and then we will be getting our desired outputs, right? So like, suppose you are given a problem, suppose a maths problem, right? Maybe anything, maybe trigonometry or simple interest problems, rate of interest problems, and all those things. So, how do you approach it? Of course, you start by reading the problem thoroughly, understanding the problem, seeing all the values that are given to you, what we need to find out, what the question is asking us to find out, right? So, that's how we approach a problem. Uh, any like not just any mathematics problem, but any problem, we take that approach, right? So, for a coding problem, how do you approach? Wait a sec. Okay. So these are the overall steps involved in problem solving. Okay. So, of course, firstly, we start by understanding the problem. We read the problem thoroughly, maybe read it more than once, and try to understand what the problem is asking us to do, right? So read the problem, understand it, be clear on what the problem is asking us to do. You know, there's a quote that goes like, if you can't explain it simply, you didn't understand it well enough. That's the thing, basically. So we'll first understand what the problem is asking us to do. Then, if possible, we will try breaking them down to sub problems. Why, if possible? Because like, when you will start, the problems will be a general problem, and most of the cases you won't be able to break it to sub problems, right? But when you will go to much more advanced and complex problems, there will be sub problems inside of that. You are breaking a bigger problem into sub problems. Then we are dealing with each of the problems, and then we are finding the solutions. We also call this as divide and conquer approach. It's a way of approaching a problem. Like, we take the problem, then we break it down to more sub problems, and we uh, try to solve each of those sub problems, and then we compile it and we get the solution. We call this divide and conquer. Divide the problems and conquer, in the sense, find a solution to those. Right. So after, if possible, after you've broken the problem into sub problems, we'll analyze on that sub problem. We will be exploring the various methods, if there exist various methods to find the output of the problem. For example, if I talk about, suppose you are told to find if a number is prime or not. Okay. So how do we approach if we want to find if a number is prime or not? It's a very basic. We know what a prime number is. It's divisible by one and the number itself, right? It's like, subconsciously we can tell which number is prime and which isn't for the at least the first few hundreds numbers, right? But when we want to put it into programming, we will be doing some, we'll be thinking about it. How do we find that there exist only two divisors of that particular number? If there are only two, then that's a prime number. If the number given is 1, it's not a prime number, it's not a composite number, that's a different thing, right? So we can do one thing, that we are checking for all the possible divisors that we can get of that particular number, right? This is the uh, basic way of solving if a number is prime or not. Then in coding, we have another approach to the same problem of finding if a number is prime or not. Instead of checking for divisors from 1 to the number given to us, we take the root of that number and we find up to that root all the divisors between 1 and the root of the number given to us. So basically we are if the code is getting more fast, we are using less memory. So these are the two approaches you can use to find if a number is prime or not, right? The first one is we are uh, checking for all the numbers from 1 to the number itself, and there's a second approach which that is we can check from 1 to square root, to be specific, square root of the number that we're checking if it's prime or not. So why I gave this example, uh, to show that there can exist multiple methods, ways to arrive at a solution, right? So that's the thing. So you will think about the possible solutions, and then we'll move on to the next part of problem solving. So we think about the solutions which we can use. Then we develop the solution, right? These like basic steps. Then we get into the coding and implementation stage, where we are converting the idea, the solution that we have in our mind into code. We are putting it into code, right? We are giving instructions to the computer. The coding we'll talk about it later, so I'm not going into much detail. And I in most of the websites or books, I think you won't get this debugging and testing phase in problem solving. But I thought it's necessary. That's why I included it here. Why I included it here? Because a good code should be able to uh, perform everywhere, and different scenarios, different situations that we think of. That's why we that's why this debugging and testing phase is also important, right? So we like for example, I wrote a code, and I for test I'm for checking, I gave some inputs and I got the desired outputs. It's all good, but there can be some inputs on which the code won't work, because while thinking about the problem, I hadn't taken into considerations those situations or test cases, as I said earlier, right? So we will try to identify the errors that our code have, or the test cases which we haven't considered, and work on that. And they're like related to each other, debugging and testing. We will try to debug if there's a bug that we can find. Okay, so uh, what is a bug? A bug is an issue in our code. Okay, it's not a compilation error, it's a logical error, right? That there's a bug in our code. The code will run just fine if it has bugs, but in some places it won't function so well. And that's the thing. We will try to identify bugs that we can spot, then debug them, and then also test, right? One example that I can give here, like overall, I will try, and more because of this debugging and testing stage. Okay. Suppose you are told to find the area of a triangle. Okay. So for the area of a triangle, there are different kinds of triangle, right? So for each of those types, we can have we we can take into consideration those different kinds of triangles that we have and code accordingly. But maybe for basic, we will just write half into base into height. Okay. So suppose you wrote a code and only applied the half into base into height formula there. So every right angle triangle will give correct output. Okay, but when you will give another kind of triangle, like if it's a equilateral triangle, it won't be able to find the area unless you are manually finding the base and the height. Okay, so it's like, then what's the need of writing a code, right? I want the code to do all the work. I will be just giving it the input and it should give me the required out. Okay, so this is the phase where we where we check for possible test cases. So in the case of a triangle, we will take into consideration that there are different kinds of triangles. So accordingly, we will code. So this is the thing. Uh, until now, if there's any kind of doubt or any kind of question that you want to ask, please just ask. Anyone? Anyone?
Dada, could you please repeat the portion of the bug? What is bug and how it could be just rectified?
Okay, okay, okay. Uh, if I try to put it in simpler terms, um, how we describe a bug, it's basically an error in the sense it's a logical error, right? Like in the example of area of a triangle, suppose while coding, we just took into consideration the right angle triangle, right? So as long as you're giving, as long as you're trying to find the area of a right angle triangle, the code will work just fine. There will be no issues, right? But there's a bug, you can term it as so that that specific code has a bug in it that can't find the area of any triangle other than a right angle triangle, right? So that's a bug. uh, if I try to give a real world example of a bug, suppose Instagram, everyone uses Instagram, right? So suppose in Instagram, you opened your Instagram and it was happening as well until few days that once you see the story of someone, the red circle around the profile picture should go away, right? Meaning that you have seen their stories. But there was a bug which was happening with almost, I think, everyone, that even if you have seen that person's story, the red circle around their profile picture on the top of your home page wasn't disappearing or wasn't going away, right? So that's a bug that was happening. This is just a real world example. The app runs just fine without rectifying that error, but these are the small changes or situations that happens. Okay, then many examples, there are so many examples that I'm finding it difficult to uh, uh, choose the which I can explain, right? um, yeah, suppose Google Meet. Okay, I am joining in, but somehow my camera isn't turning on. That's a bug that can happen, and it has happened with me a few times. So I had to quit my Chrome app. Then maybe once I also restarted my computer, and then the bug was gone. So these are the bugs that you face in real life. And if we want to talk in the very basic level, so the example of the triangle that I gave, right? So uh, was it clear?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, yeah, it was clear.
Anyone else? Any question regarding until now, whatever I talked about.
What if the code is not working itself? What would we call that? Like,
Okay, so when you have asked that question, there will be a separate portion dedicated to errors. Okay, so don't worry, but I will try to talk about it in as basic I can. So generally, when you start coding, you can face three kinds of error in total. General. Okay, so you know about syntax, right? Syntax, grammar, like syntax is basically the how uh, how we write code. Like for example, wait. Can you see my screen?
yes.
Yeah. Good. So wait. Okay. So you see here. Okay. So this is a statement. This whole thing is a statement that we are writing in Python. So the syntax of print is like this: print, then inside the brackets, my it's coming from Gemini. It's giving me suggestions, right? So the syntax of print is under double quote, we write the message to be printed. The message to be printed. Okay. And maybe we also write what we want to print. Suppose in this example, it's num1 plus num2. Okay. So this is the syntax of print statement, and uh, like this isn't the single syntax of print. We can tweak it to our needs, right? Like for example, you will see here that this is the value that I want to print, but before that, in some places, there are some messages that are under double quote, like the addition of and, okay, and is and colon. Those are under double quote. That is the actual message that we want to print. And then I also have these variables that the value will be printed. Like this is also a syntax of print. You can directly pass the variables and with the operator as you want. So what I was trying to say is, suppose this is the syntax of print. Okay, suppose I give a semicolon here. This code won't run, is it?
Yep.
Okay, okay. Acha, Python, right. Just a sec. Suppose I give the and I do this. Okay, someone is okay. Pornabo is saying something. Brother, stop flexing. Okay, I will get onto that bug after a while. He had told me about it. Where was I? Okay, bootcamp. Achha, right. So you see, this is a syntax error. What I should have done is I should have did this. Okay, and also this. So this, if you want to print a message, this is how you do it in Python. But if I delete this is a syntax error. If I delete this is also a syntax error. So these are syntax error, or also it basically happens during compilation time when you will try to run time, no, compile interpreter, whatever. So this is a syntax error. This is one type of error that you can face. Then also we have logical error, which is basically your code will run just fine, but you won't get the answer. It's very easy to explain. Suppose I want to find the sound, but I did this. Okay, the code will run. There are no syntax errors, but instead of getting the sum, I will get the difference of the two numbers. This is a logical error. Then we have runtime error, and the easiest, best example of a runtime error is division by zero. Right. So these are the three main errors that you will encounter with while coding any language, not just Python specifically. Did you get that? Who was asking?
Yep, got it.
Okay. Any other? Anyone? Okay, I will move forward. I'm given a deadline timeline. I need to follow that. So this was the how you approach a problem, how you think about the solution, and how you also make your code more efficient. Right? We think about all the scenarios, all the situations that we can run into, etc., etc. Next, we are getting into the second topic of today's discussion, that is flowcharts and pseudocode. So this, like, firstly, we think about the solutions and all that, and then we try to visualize the solutions. Right? You must have heard of flowcharts and pseudocodes. Maybe not, but flowcharts you definitely should have heard. So what are flowcharts? It's basically we are visually representing a solution.
Mustaq, your PDF is in the back window, I think.
Oh, right, I didn't switch. Thanks. Sense it. You can see, right?
Yes.
You can see.
Okay. Thank you, Shamandeep. Okay.
You're welcome.
So flowcharts, basically, it's like a visual representation of the solution of the algorithm that we're using to solve. Right. So I will straight up show an example. It's more easy to explain with an example. So yeah, this example of making tea. Like, I think this is the most used and easiest way to talk about flowcharts, right? Suppose your mom tells you to make tea, and these are the processes that, like, this is the way you are going to make tea. Like, right, you take water, turn on the stove, give it to boil. Then if you want to add milk, you do that, add the tea leaves, sugar, all that. Okay, so this is a basic flowchart of making tea. Okay, and as you can see, there are different shapes, right? This is a rectangle, this is a diamond, and okay, this should have been an oval. I didn't see that. Okay, so what do these shape actually mean? You can see here the oval that should have been here. This demonstrates the uh, start or end of the flowchart, right? This should also have been an oval. Then the input output, we put it under a rhombus. All the processes, it's a rectangle for that. And decision, you can see it's here, right? If the water is boiled, you put tea bag in the mug. If it's not boiled, we go to the previous step. It's that's how it is. I will go into Excalibur and I will try to explain. Wait. Yeah, I think it's visible.
Yes.
So as you can see, also there should be a line. A line basically demonstrates the flow of the flowchart. Okay. So suppose this is the start or end of the flowchart. Okay, you can just write start here. It's wait a sec. So this denotes the start of the flowchart, and after that we will use arrows to show the flow as in the next state of that flowchart. Then we have these other shapes. This is a diamond. We use that for decisions. In the sense,
Mustaq,
suppose
can I
the
interrupt for a moment?
yeah.
So there is a question like, can you please repeat the purpose of this flowchart? Now, why is this flowchart
I
used in programming? Now, why
okay.
are we even learning this?
I haven't even went to that part, but okay, sure. So wait. Okay, so as you can see in this example, we are trying to visualize the solution by using a flowchart. In fact, uh, it's just the pre-processes of starting to code or actually sitting to code. Okay, so uh, we will start here. We will start here. Then the next process, it's shown by an arrow, which is the next process, and how the program will run, in the sense like it's it's not many for most of the basic programs. It's at least in this case, it's this is the flow of the program, that from this point, which is the diamond decision, so it can branch off to two or more directions. So if the water isn't boiled, we will be going in this direction. And if it has boiled, we will head down. Okay. So the use of flowchart is basically to visualize the solution. I will show some examples here. Okay, this I think. Okay, suppose this one. Okay, so this is a flowchart to input two numbers and display the largest among them. So we start from here, then we take the first number, then we take the second number. If num1 is greater than 2, we display that num1 is larger. Otherwise, num2 is larger, and then finally stop. Okay, so flowchart is just for visualization, better understanding of the solution. In fact, for basic programs, you might as well want to skip flowchart, but when the problem will get more complex, flowcharts come handy. It comes very handy, in fact. There are other examples as well. Yeah, this is another example. We are uh, finding the roots of a quadratic equation, right? So we start from here, then we take the values, the general form of a quadratic equation, x squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Okay, and we know, like, we all know this thing. The for the discriminant, to find the roots, if it's less than 0, then we go its complex roots. If it's not less than 0, if it's equal to 0, then we take this formula, and if it's not equal to 0, we take this formula. Like, these are just visualization purposes, nothing else. I think there's one. Yeah, that's the thing. Flowcharts are just for visualizing the solution. Who asked the trigger? I think it's clear now.
Yeah, I suppose it's clear. If anyone has any doubt, they can like ask. Anyone?
Dada, in the previous where you are drawing, in which platform were you drawing
It's a
the flowchart?
Excali draw. EXCALI draw. Excali draw.
Okay, okay.
So as you can see, benefits and why we even use flowchart in the. Okay, thanks, Shomodip. So why we use flowchart in the first place? It basically for visualization purposes, then also helps us in debugging, analyzing the process, and of course, like for small codes, you aren't going to be working in a team, but when the problem will get more complex, there will be multiple people working on the same problem, right? So all these things, that's the use cases or why we use flowcharts. Uh, for flowcharts, these things are very important, like which symbol is used to represent what thing. This oval is for start and end, input output by a rhombus process. Like basically, suppose you are adding a number, or you are incrementing the value, all these things, it's shown under this rectangle. And decision, the conditions that might arise, like in this case, the discriminant can be either equal to 0, greater than 0, or less than 0. So it's basically branching off to other directions other than a fixed linear flow. Okay. And these arrows, of course, we need to indicate in which way we should read the flowchart, right? So we have arrows, pointed arrow, in fact, telling the program flow of the flowchart, right? Next, benefits of flowchart. I talked about that. Then algorithm. Okay, so you might have heard this word. Some people might are also familiar with this. So it's basically, algorithm is also like pre-process of starting to code. Okay, so after you are done with the flowchart, you kind of get into writing the algorithm or thinking about the algorithm. Like in the example of finding a prime, if a number is prime or not, the algorithm that we are using is, if the number given to us is divisible by 1 and the number itself, then that is a prime number. Okay, the algorithm will go as read the number, as in take the number, then we will put it in a loop. We will check for the divisors. Then if the divisors are two, exactly two, then it's a prime number. Otherwise, so definition, a brief. I try to give it in a brief way. Step-by-step sequence of instructions designed to solve a specific problem or perform a task in a finite amount of time. It's a step-by-step. Like it will follow order when you are writing the algorithm. And also, this is also important, key characteristics of an algorithm. The input, if there are inputs which will be taking, how many inputs which will be taking, the output, of course, then definiteness. Each step of the algorithm must be clear and unambiguous, right? So that we can understand what that step of the algorithm, what we're gonna do in the step of that algorithm. All these things. I think I have an example. Yeah. Okay. Nice. So again, like I will try to explain with an example. So suppose again, I'm talking about the making tea part. Okay. So step one, it's we will boil the water. Then we will add tea leaves to boiling water. Then let it brew for 2 minutes. Strain and pour into a cup. Serve. Uh, this is like a real world example, so it's not so definite, right? So that's why I have this algorithm on how we are adding two numbers. So as you can see, there is start and stop, because we need to tell when the program is starting and when it's ending. Okay, so this is the start and this is the stop, and inside of that the other parts of the program will be present. So we take two numbers because we're adding two numbers. If there were multiple numbers, we will be accepting multiple numbers. Then it says compute the sum equals to a plus b. So this is an arithmetic expression, right? We are calculating the sum. The value of a plus b will be stored in this sum. Okay, and we are printing the sum. This is an algorithm to add two numbers. Very basic example, just to make you understand what algorithms are. Okay. Uh, any questions on algorithm? I think there are questions on algorithms, so please. Anyone?
Okay, so we can like play a game today that after each topic will be like summarized by someone. If there's no question, so they can like just summarize on random if Mustaq agrees.
Wait, I didn't get your voice is breaking.
Hello,
Yeah,
am I
yeah,
clear now?
yeah.
Okay, so each part of your presentation like can be summarized by some people if they don't have an issue, and if you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
have an issue,
yeah. Sure,
so
we
we
can do
can
that.
like play a game like that.
Yeah. So are we going to choose randomly?
Yeah.
Okay. So pick anyone.
Okay. So for the flowchart, do we have Dev Pandey? UG1 Mathematics.
Hello,
Okay. Good evening, Dev.
good evening.
Okay. So can you just summarize what is flowchart for everyone?
Sure. Flowcharts are basically visual representations of given processor algorithms. They use symbols to represent logic, operation decisions, and law of logic. And usually, it helps in if it's a big program, it helps in communicating the programs logic to your team faster. I don't
Yeah.
think there's much more.
Right. Put it nicely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Dave. Thanks.
Welcome.
Yeah, so anyone volunteering to conclude the algorithm section?
Anyone?
Do
Okay,
we
so
have-
no, if no one is volunteering, then we have to choose random again. Okay. Anyone raising? No. So Natasha Das.
Yes, I am present, but uh,
the
can I do
reason?
it next time? I haven't paid much attention.
Okay, so do you have any questions regarding
Yeah,
algorithm?
yeah. Then
It
ask.
will be better if you can repeat it because I'm just entering home right now. So
Okay,
Oh,
so
I
one
think
of us will be like summarizing, then Mustaq will be like clearing the doubts. Mustaq,
thank you,
any?
thank you. I
no, no,
will do
no.
it for sure next time.
Okay,
So pick
so
someone else, Rigom.
anyone raising hand? No, no one. Okay, so Oyantika Ghosh.
Yes, sir.
So can you just summarize the algorithm part?
Uh, okay. So algorithm is basically a bunch of instructions that we have to follow in order to like solve the task. The same that we're doing for flowchart as well. It has some features like it includes input and output, and the steps must be very clear and finite number of steps should be included, and the steps should be effective to solve the problem.
Okay, so Mustaq.
Oyantika, I guess. Sorry, can you repeat that?
Okay. Algorithm is a a bunch of instructions that we have to follow in order to like complete the problem to solve the problem. There are certain features of algorithm that it includes an input and output. The steps in our algorithm should be finite number of steps should be there. The steps should be stated very clearly, and these should be unambiguous, and the steps should be effective enough to solve the problem.
Yeah, right. Uh, One thing I would want to add or clear is like just a sec. So these are the key characteristics of an algorithm. Like you need to have these things in an algorithm. Okay, that in uh, the algorithm will be a good algorithm if you're following these or having these things in your algorithm. Okay, the input output, definiteness, finiteness, and effectiveness. Okay. Uh, so
Okay, so now
yeah.
any questions? Anyone?
Okay. Ayantika,
Yes.
uh, can you tell me the algorithm to find a find if a number is prime or not?
I can
Try.
try.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, Step one should be start,
Yeah.
followed by step two,
Hmm.
read the numbers or like list the numbers that I'm trying to find if it's prime number or enter the number should be the second step. I'm not sure.
No, no. It's basically it's not a part of the code. It's for just how you are going to code, right? So you need not specifically mention enter the number, right? That like that. You can just say read the number or input the number. You just need to put it. That's what the step is trying to do. Okay, so you can say anything like input the number or read the number?
Okay.
Okay.
So input the number,
Hmm.
check the number of divisors it have.
Okay.
If it's more than 2, then it's not a prime number. And if it's less than 2 or is it can be less than 2, of course. If it's not, then it's a prime number, and stop. Print number maybe before the stop.
Yeah, in between, I think you missed some points. That is, for the divisors, we are going to start from 1 till the number, and then the print portion, it's like we will be printing if it's a prime number or not, right? The code the code is asking us if a number is prime or not, so the output should be relevant to that, right? That yes, it's a prime number, or no, the number isn't a prime number.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyone else, if you have any question or doubt or something you want to ask regarding these topics?
So basically, we will see that every number gets either if it either gets divided with that number or not, and we will check that until that number is being reached, and then we will say that whether it's a prime or not, right? Like it's the logic of that prime number, right?
Prime.
Am I right?
Yes.
I have one question, Mustaq, not for
Yes.
you, but for
Okay.
the students. So let's say I give you a number, let's say 1049, and you have to do it by code that find the number whether it is prime or not. Okay, so the first step will be you'll take it as an input, right? The number will be 1049. Now how will you find the divisors, because you have to divide it with every number from 1 to 1049, so there will be like almost 1048 steps, and that much line of code, like every line you have to write 1049 divided by 1, 1049 divided by 2, and you'll check every values. Okay,
We can just
I
on a loop, for loop, like.
Sorry, that wasn't
got
clear.
it.
Can you repeat?
No, Aniket knows the answer, so please just not ruin it. I'm just asking the two people. I guess they also know, but just for a like a general curiosity, ki if you are dividing a number for that much time, you have to write a lot of code. You have to repeat your code again and again, right?
দাদা
Because there's a
বলছিলাম যে তাহলে ওই এক্ষেত্রে এরম ভাবে নেওয়া যায় না যে যে 1 থেকে স্টার্ট করলাম, আর এরম ভাবে একটা মানে ফাংশন টাইপের ইনপুট করা যেতে পারে যেখানে ওই a ইকুয়ালস টু যে নাম্বারটা হবে a+1 বা b ইকুয়ালস টু a+1, মানে এবার তারপরে যদি দেখবে যদি b টা হচ্ছে লেস দ্যান ওই যে ইনপুট নাম্বারটা হচ্ছে 10 কত বললে 1049 বা সামথিং,
hmm.
তো এবার তুই যদি তারপরে যদি দেখা যায় যে লেস দ্যান হচ্ছে 1049 হয় বা ওই লেস দ্যান ইকুয়াল টু
Okay.
1049, দেন তাহলে হচ্ছে ওটা হচ্ছে ডিভাইড করবে, করে দেখবে যে ওটা হচ্ছে ডিভিজিবল কি নয়। এবার যদি না হয় তাহলে ফের আবার একটা যদি লুপে পাঠানো যেতে পারে উপর দিকে।
বেসিক্যালি লুপ ইউজ করছি আমরা
Got
একটা
it. So the answer is loop. Okay. Sure. No issue with that. But
Yeah.
how did you came up with loop? If there is no loop in coding, how can you come up with some other ideas? Like just saying, what is happening? You are like decrementing the values or incrementing the values for this sense. Like first you're dividing with 1, then you're dividing with 2, then you're dividing with 3. So it's getting redundant, right? You are repeating your code every single line. So just to reduce that redundancy, there are some things in coding that will help you, that is better than math, in just the process of making the process very fast. Okay, so what we call is a function called increment or decrement. So what it does is it increments the value or decrement the value, and that thing is used in loops, so that next time agar if the question is find the even number between 2000 and 2004, you don't have to do like everything from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to like 2000, right? You can do it through incrementation, and the for loop will do this for you. So we'll talk about loops and stuff just to understand and evoke a curiosity in your brain ki how can we do multiple steps, not repeatedly, how we can do that. So just for that I asked the question. rest of that, because what Ayantika said is, she was right. She said ki first we start it, then we take the input, then we find out all the divisors. So that is a step that you overlooked. Okay, so if you go deep into the that specific step, you need to elaborate ki how can you see every number, that every divisors that you have for that number. So at that we use loop. And loop is a statement that goes along, like it keeps moving. Okay, it's a new concept, it's not found in maths. So it's something new that we'll just learn in coding, and there are multiple types of loops. And it's like a decision making, but it's happening repeatedly, so you don't have to specify every step of the decision. So that is what I said. So there's a fantastic thing called loops, and Jeet and Mustaq will talk about it later. But just to make it much more like out of normal, I said it.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can start, Mustaq. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you, Shomadip. Okay, so I want to talk about two things since Shomadip has brought up the topic of loops. Firstly, anyone, I'm asking to any one of you, just raise your hands if you know the answer. How do you know that a specific number is a divisor of another number?
If you divide, but then if you divide a number,
If it's a
of-
multiple of that
Wait,
number,
if the
Excuse me. Please raise your hands first. We'll ask.
Yeah.
if you divide, and if, like, let's say you want to see if A is a divisor of B, if you do A mod B, and if it comes out 0, then A divides B. A is a divisor of B. Am I right?
Okay, so basically you know the answer. Okay, so rest of you, I will tell it in brief what he talked about. Just a second.
The কোয়েশ্চেনটা কি ছিল একবার বলবে?
আমি জিজ্ঞেস করলাম যে কি করে বুঝবো আমরা যে একটা নাম্বার, লাইক সাপোজ দেয়ার আর টু নাম্বারস বি অ্যান্ড এ, তো আমি কি করে বুঝবো যে এ ইজ এ ডিভিজর অফ বি? Got it?
Okay.
So I will try to elaborate on this thing a bit. Can you see? Okay, nice.
Mustaq, I guess better হবে যদি কোডিং এর ইয়েতে লাইক পেজেই করবি না এখানে করবি?
না
it's okay. Got it.
So suppose how we check is, suppose I am taking 12. Yeah. Suppose I'm taking 12 and I am trying to find if 3 is a divisor of 12 or not. I took a very easy example. Yes.
বলছিলাম যে যদি হচ্ছে এরকম নাম্বার দেয়া হয়, যদি এ বি বলা হলো, তো আগে তো মনে হয় চেক করতে হবে যে কোনটা বড় কোনটা ছোট, নাহলে তো
হ্যাঁ ওটা আমি কি বলবো,
মানে আগে থেকে অ্যাজিউম করে নিচ্ছি,
কনসিডার করে নিয়েছি যে বিটা বড়। থ্যাঙ্কস।
মানে কোডিং এর ক্ষেত্রে তখন তো করতে হবে, মানে বলেই
হ্যাঁ অবশ্যই তোকে প্রত্যেকটা সিচুয়েশনের ব্যাপারে ভাবতে হবে বেসিক্যালি। So suppose I want to see if 3 is a divisor of 12 or not. So everybody knows it is, but how do we know that it is a divisor? Okay.
Divide the 12 by 3 and check if the remainder is 0 or not.
Okay, who's that? Devankush. Okay, thank you. So what we mean by that is we get 4 here, we do 12 and the remainder is 0, right? So this is how we do it in maths. Okay, but if you want to check if the remainder is 0 when you are dividing one number with another number, in code there's an operator called modulo. Okay, like plus, addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, these are also operators, but there's an additional operator that is modulo. Okay, So basically we do 12 modulo 3, and if it's equal to 0, then we know 3 is a divisor of 12. Okay, so this
That
is
is double equal to no.
but there are many people who don't know যে কোডে ডাবল ইকুয়াল টু ইউজ হয়, ওর জন্যই আমি জাস্ট ইকুয়াল টু ইউজ করলাম। ওকে,
Okay.
Aniket Kumar. Okay, so this is one thing, and yeah, the loop thing. You can understand loop by summation operator. Okay, suppose we do I equals to 1 to n, right? You must have you know about the summation operator, right? So basically this operator, math student, maybe I will be using some terms wrong, so please overlook that, whatever. So what I meant to say is this operator will give us continuous numbers from 1 to n, right? And inside this I can write something. So this thing we can also put it into code, and that's what we call loop. Okay, more about loop on the next day. I'm not sure on which day, but we have a day dedicated to loops, and Jeet will talk about it briefly. Don't worry about that. Because Shomodeep brought up the topic of loop, so I just wanted to show this thing, right? So where were we?
Flowcharts and
Pseudocode.
algorithms.
Flowcharts. Okay, so algorithm. Okay, so anybody, if anybody has any questions?
Yeah, I do. What is like the advantage between an algorithm and flowchart?
What is
Which is used when? Which is preferable to be used when?
I didn't get your question, sorry.
Like when do you prefer using a flowchart and when do you prefer using an algorithm? That is my question.
Okay, so the thing is, like it's a continuous step. Okay, I have the thing as well. Just a minute. Okay, so basically here you have a flowchart, then we build an algorithm, then we write the pseudocode, and then we start to code. Okay, so they are all interconnected. It's not like there aren't two alternative things of the same thing, alternative options of the same thing. Okay, we need to do this to achieve this. Basically, we need to design a flowchart to write the algorithm, then write the pseudocode, then we seek to code. But for most of the parts, and once you like develop your coding, once you start to code, you can just like omit, in the sense you can do it subconsciously, right? You don't need to sit and make a flowchart to understand what you need to do. You can just make it in your mind and start like straight up. You just start with the algorithm, or maybe you just sitting to code and it's all happening in your mind. You will be needing practice for that. Okay, and at least for the first few codes, I will say try to follow this. You will also get an habit. You will also understand it better, right? How the program is working, how the flow of the program is going. Okay, like the prime number example. If I give you a number, everyone would be able to tell if it's a prime or not, right? But if I ask you like, how did you conclude that this is a prime number? You will be like, একটা divisor 1 অন্য divisor ওই নাম্বারটাই বলে এটা prime number. But if you want to code, we need to think of it like how we were going to check that there exists only one and the number itself which are divisors of that number, right? So in real life, the problems basically we don't think about it. It just happens subconsciously. Some of the problems like the prime number or even, in fact, even odd, we can just say all happens subconsciously. So when you start to code, it's basically like you will have to instruct the computer about everything that it needs to perform. So in order to for the instructions to be clear, you need to like visualize these things, like how am I understanding that this is a prime number, this is an odd number, this is an even number, right? Am I clear?
Yes, I got it.
Okay. So I think I can start with the pseudocode part. Can I, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see the message. I'm seeing it right now. Srijita Datta. I guess the flowchart is an illustrative version of the algorithm. Yeah, it's true. It's basically we are. Yeah, you can as well see that this one, right? So start, step one of an algorithm is start, last step is stop. So we get the first step and the last step, right? From like straight from the flowchart. Then step two, we can I mean, in flowchart also you can combine, like you are writing input num1 and num2 instead of using two rhombuses. In algorithm also you can just say input the two numbers. Okay, then this is a decision. So we check if num1 greater than num2, display num1. If num1 is less than num2, display num2. So yes, this is a visual representation, and an algorithm we are writing it in plain text and also mentioning the steps. Okay. And there's also something called pseudocode. Pseudocode, I think it's self-explanatory. So it's like in the middle, in between an algorithm and a proper code. Okay, pseudocode, it's not a code, okay, but it's like a code. Like, see, this is a human readable representation of algorithms. Basically, you need to know any programming language to understand a pseudocode. Okay, you can understand that what I want to do. So suppose I work in Java, someone is there who works in Python. So I just wrote a pseudocode for something, or someone else wrote a pseudocode for something. And using that pseudocode, we both can write our respective codes in Java and Python. Right. So it's basically that. And yeah, this is also an important point, that it's focused on the logic, not syntax. Okay, so that's why it's like you need not know any programming language to understand the pseudocode. I will again go into the example. As someone said, example is the only way of understanding. So yeah, see, and again, begin and end. Like your code or the program needs to be finite, right? That there's a specific starting and ending point. I know when to end that code. Otherwise, okay, otherwise it will, if it's running forever, it's not a good code. Basically, you need to know when to stop that code, unless you need to run that code for longer time. That's a different thing. Okay. So again, in three of them, flowchart, algorithm, and pseudocode, you will see the starting and ending point. Okay, because these are necessary. Begin and end. Okay, so this is the beginning, this is the end of the pseudocode, and then we have, this is basically the pseudocode for adding two numbers. Okay, so print, enter two numbers. What this line means is on the terminal we are printing a message for the user that enter two numbers and the user should enter two numbers. Okay. Or you can just also write here print enter the first number, again print enter the second number, like this. Then once the number has been typed by the user on the terminal, we will read those numbers. Then since we want to find the sum, we will store the value of a and b in a variable called sum. Variable basically, suppose it's a container. Okay, like in coding we will just call it a variable, but you can consider it as a container. How do I, yeah, suppose take the example of water bottles. Okay, suppose you have a water bottle A which contains suppose 1 liter of water, and you have another water bottle B which contains suppose 2 liter of water. Okay, and someone has asked you to pour those water into a single container. So the single container which will contain the 3 liters of water is this sum. Okay, in this example it is this sum. Okay, where you are storing the whole of that water. Okay, so sum is the container where the both the volume of water of A and B is stored. This is how you can understand what a variable is. So we can also say A is also a container, in the sense A is also storing some water. If we try to refer to in code, it's basically A is also storing some value. Okay, we will talk about variables as well. We'll be covering everything. Okay, so this is one, and yeah, this as well. Print sum is then sum. This is the container which has the value, right? This one. So we are printing that, and also we are displaying a message here that the sum is this. And for making t, yeah, you can read this as well. I will provide this PDF. You can go through it. What do we have? Yeah, algorithm versus pseudocode. Okay, so I will just read it and try to explain. So first, if you go by the definition, algorithm is a step-by-step instruction to solve a problem. And pseudocode, it's an informal representation of the algorithm in structured English-like syntax. As I said, it's human readable, and you need not know any programming language to understand a pseudocode. Okay. So structured English-like syntax. Okay, we are writing it in plain English. That's why it's readable, human readable. You need not know any programming language to understand the pseudocode. Then algorithm can use mathematical, symbolic, or natural language. Okay, and pseudocode, it resembles programming code but without strict syntax. Okay, like for example, suppose this specific line, if you want to write it in Python, this should have a bracket, right? And this symbol should be replaced by an equal to symbol. Then we have other syntaxes for print, same syntax in fact for print, and for read, it's basically in Python input does both of the jobs together. Okay, so as you can see, it doesn't follow the syntax. It's just gives a what do you say? It just gives you an rough idea of what you're trying to do exactly. Okay, so basically what we mean by closer to code is, this is like the just before we are starting to code, we are going to have a pseudocode, and this can be abstract and theoretical. Of course, we are talking about the how you're gonna solve the problem, how you're gonna do all the things we need to do, like the if you need loop, if you need conditions, and there are many other things as well. Okay, so this focuses on problem solving and logic development. of course. We are focusing here on how we are solving the problem, and in continuation, the logic we are using. And pseudocode, we are using it for planning and drafting code structure. Okay, like this is a very small code, so code structure is very simple to understand. But when you get into more complex problems, you will get to see the usage of a pseudocode. And yeah, last point as well, less readable for non-technical people. Yeah, because we are using terms like input and then take this and take that. Okay, and as you can see in the pseudocode, you can just understand that it's asking for two numbers, then it's accepting the two numbers, reading it, finding the sum, storing it in a variable container, and then we're printing it. Okay. Yeah, and this one I already showed, but again I'm showing it. So we first develop the algorithm, we use the algorithm to write a pseudocode, we use the pseudocode to finally sit and write the program. Okay. But okay, before I get into the next topic, any questions regarding pseudocode? No, if that's we specifically call that as comments. Okay, the part you are writing after hash, basically that's called comments. Okay, the purpose of comments is to like even for yourself and maybe for other team members or your co-workers that you're working with, it's to tell them what that specific part, if it's a loop or a if a statement, what that specific part is doing or what that line is doing. I can show it as well. It's
Okay, so any more
yeah,
questions? Oh, sorry. My bad.
yeah, Rigom, just a sec. Okay, see, as you can see here, I have written code in Python to add two numbers, right? It's not part of the code itself. It's basically for me and others to understand what this code is going to do. Like you can just see the top line and understand what the code is trying to do, or you can also like go through the code and understand. If it's just 3 line right now, it's it won't take much long. But if it's a big code, so it's going to take you time to understand what the program is trying to do. So we also do this, like at the beginning of the program, we use a comment to tell what the code is about. Okay, and this line, suppose num1 equals to, I'm not going into the syntax because we haven't covered that yet. Basically this first second line, in fact. Okay, you will also get the line numbers here. That's helpful for coding and also for debugging when you face a syntax error or any other error. So this line is taking the first input, this line is taking the second number input, then this line is printing the addition of both the numbers. We are adding both the numbers and also printing it. Okay, so basically these are comments to tell what that line or what that segment or what that code is doing. Okay, that's not a pseudocode. Yeah, you can call it so as well. It's labeling each step in the code. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone else? Otherwise, I will continue with the rest part.
Anyone volunteering for summarizing the part?
Yeah, that thing as well. Yes.
Okay, so have you answered like Natasha's question? I guess it's like
Ha,
labeling
ha,
each
ha,
step in
ha.
the code.
Yeah, it's basically that you are. I would say in this specific example, it's labeling each step. Okay, but like for when you are starting with coding, I think this helps. But we don't do this exactly. In every line, sorry, in every line we are adding comments. Okay, we can like we can understand what that line is trying to do. Okay, so for more complex problems, we don't write comments after inputs. We write comments on a specific part of the code, like suppose there's a loop, what that loop is trying to do, or suppose I'm using an algorithm to, suppose I'm trying to sort numbers. Okay, I've been given 10 numbers and I'm asked to sort them ascending or descending, whatever. So the portion or the part of the code which will do the sorting, before the starting of that, I am giving an hash and I'm writing sorting the numbers in ascending or descending order. Okay, or maybe you can also include in that comment itself which algorithm you're using. There are many algorithms to sort numbers. We'll also talk about that. So yeah, it's labeling the step. Yeah, sorry, labeling the code. Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Okay, so since no one is raising their hands for volunteering, let's do our job again. Do we have Ononna from UG1 Maths?
Yes.
So can you just summarize the pseudocode part for all of us?
হ্যাঁ বাংলায় বলি।
হ্যাঁ
হ্যাঁ,
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
বাংলাতে বলতে পারিস।
আচ্ছা, সিউডো কোড হচ্ছে এমন একটা কোড যেটা আমরা যেটা কোনো প্রোগ্রামিং ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ নয়, নর্মাল ইংলিশেই লেখা, এবং এটা লেখা হবে লজিক্যালি, এবং এটা মানে জানার জন্য কোনো প্রোগ্রামিং নলেজ না থাকলেও হবে।
আর কিছু যদি অ্যাড করতে চাস তার সঙ্গে, মানে অ্যাড করতে চাস ইন দ্য সেন্স কিছু বলতে চাস? আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, হ্যাঁ মোটামুটি ঠিকই
আচ্ছা,
বলি।
এখানে যেটা বলছি যে মানে শুরুতে যে বিগিন আর এন্ড দেওয়া আছে, মানে এটার
হ্যাঁ,
কি গুরুত্ব এখানে?
বাংলাতেই বলবো নাকি
হ্যাঁ,
ইংলিশে
যাতে
বলবো?
খুশি।
একটু ওই
আচ্ছা,
প্রেজেন্টেশনটা খুলে নিলে ভালো হয়,
হ্যাঁ
যেখানে
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
বিগিনার
হ্যাঁ,
এন্ড আছে।
দেখাচ্ছি। For everyone, okay, I'm telling in English. So see, basically, we need to know where the code is starting, or when the code is starting and when the code is ending. Okay, so that's why we use begin and end. Suppose what's the example here? Okay, suppose you want to go to college, you want to go to Presi, and you are leaving for your home. Okay, so what is the starting point here, Ananda?
স্টার্টিং পয়েন্ট হচ্ছে বাড়ির, যেখান থেকে বেরোচ্ছি।
বাড়ি, ঠিক। এন্ডিং পয়েন্টটা কোনটা?
কলেজ।
কলেজ। তো আমি বাড়ি থেকে শুরু করব, কলেজ পৌঁছে গেলে আমার ওই স্পেসিফিক টাস্কটা শেষ, যে আমি কলেজ পৌঁছে গেছি, তো মানে পৌঁছে গেছি বেসিক্যালি। ঠিক আছে, তো সেম জিনিসটাই আমরা এখানেও করব। এখানেও আমরা সেম জিনিসটা ইউজ করব, যে আমরা দুটো নাম্বার অ্যাড করতে চাই। তো যখন আমরা সামটা প্রিন্ট করে দেবো, তারপরে আর তো কোডটার কোনো রান করার কোনো মানেই হয় না, বেকারও ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ডে চলতে থাকবে, বেকার মেমোরি খাবে, এরকম। তো কোডটাকে আমরা টার্মিনেট করে দেবো। টার্মিনেট বলা হয় জিনিসটাকে কোডিংয়ে, যে আমরা একটা কোড শেষ মানে ইটস ফিনিশড, দ্য টাস্ক হ্যাজ বিন ডান, সো দ্য প্রোগ্রাম হ্যাজ টার্মিনেটেড, এইভাবে বলা হয়।
এটা কি সবসময় করতে হয়, মানে অ্যালগোরিদমের টাইমেও করতে হয়?
হ্যাঁ, অ্যালগোরিদমেও তোকে বলতে হবে যে কোথায় শুরু হচ্ছে আর কোথায় গিয়ে আমি শেষ করছি জিনিসটা। ঠিক।
হুম।
কিন্তু দাদা পাইথনে কি বলতে হয় যে কোথায় বিগিন করছে বা এন্ড করছে? পাইথনে তো মনে হয় না কোথাও
না,
স্পেসিফাই।
মানে ওয়েন যখন কোড করছিস কোন একটা কোডিং ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে, পাইথনে জিনিসটা মানে তুই ভিজুয়াল সেরকম কোনো যে তুই কোনো কি বলবো কার্লি ব্রেসেস বা কোনো নোটেশন পাবি যে এখানে শুরু হয়েছে ওখানে শেষ হয়েছে সেরকম কিছু না। বিকজ এখানে দেখ নাম1 মানে এই সেকেন্ড লাইন থেকে শুরু হয়েছে, ফোর্থ লাইনে গিয়ে শেষ হয়ে গেছে। ঠিক আছে, তো তোকে কোডে লিখতে হবে না যে, বা কোডে সেরকম পাইথনে স্পেসিফিক্যালি সেরকম কিছু নেই। ঠিক আছে, যারা সি বা জাভা করেছিস তাদের জন্য আমি বলতে পারি যে ভাব সি এর ক্ষেত্রে তোর হ্যাশ ইনক্লুড stdio.h বা যেটাই লিখতে হয়। এক মিনিট, হ্যাঁ ইন্টেন্ডেশন, ইয়েস। সো ইন্টেন্ডেশনটা তোরা ফাংশন বা লুপ যখন করতে লাগবি তখন বুঝতে পারবি ভালোভাবে। ইন্টেন্ডেশনটা এখানেও দেখতে পাচ্ছিস, ইন্টেন্ডেশন মানে এই দেখ বিগিন আর এগুলোর মধ্যে দেখ দ্যাটস আ স্পেস, রাইট? দিস ইজ টু ডিনোট যে এই পোর্শনটা, ওয়েট, এই পোর্শনটা এর মধ্যে কন্টেন হয়ে আছে। ঠিক, জাস্ট রেসপন্স প্লিজ, হু ওয়াজ আস্কিং।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
তো ইন্টেন্ডেশন বলতে এটাই আমাদের যে উই নো কোন পার্টটার মধ্যে কোনটা আছে। এবার যেহেতু যে এক্সাম্পলটা যেটা আমার পাইথনে দেখছি সেটাতে ইন্টেন্ডেশনের সেরকম খুব একটা দরকার নেই, ওর জন্য ইন্টেন্ডেশন ইউজ করা হয়নি। when you will be learning about loops and conditional statements then and functions of course, then you will see indentation come into work.
ইন্ডেন্টেশন মানে হচ্ছে এই যে আমরা লুপের পর বা ইফ এর পর যে চারটে স্পেস দিচ্ছি ওইটাকে বলছে, তাই তো?
ইফ বা লুপের পর চারটে স্পেস বলতে
মানে একটা মানে পাইথনে যেমন ওই দুটো কোলন এ দেওয়ার পর আমরা যখন নেক্সট কোডটা লিখি একটা চারটে স্পেস দিয়ে তারপর কোডটা লেখা স্টার্ট করি, এটা কি?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, তুই চারটে স্পেসের জায়গায় ট্যাবও ইউজ করতে পারিস।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
চারটে স্পেস বলছিস তো আমি খুব একটা বুঝতে পারিনি। ইয়েস, সো দ্যাটস ইন্টেন্ডেশন। মানে সাপোজ এই ব্ল্যাক লাইনটা দেখ, ভাব দিস ইজ দি মানে এখান থেকে ভাব কোডটা শুরু হচ্ছে। তো তুই যদি কোনো ইফ এলস স্টেটমেন্ট বা যদি কোনো লুপ নিচ্ছিস বা ফাংশন নিচ্ছিস তখন টু ডিনোট যে ওই স্পেসিফিক পোর্শনটা ফাংশনের ভেতরে আছে তখন থেকে ইন্টেন্ডেশন ইউজ করতে হবে। আর বিগিন এন্ড ওরকমই তোর সি এ যেমন হ্যাশ ইনক্লুড stdio.h বা যেই তুই হেডার ফাইলটা ইনক্লুড করতে চাইছিস দ্যাটস দ্য স্টার্টিং, অ্যান্ড এন্ড করে যাচ্ছে ভাব একটা কার্লি ব্রেসের সঙ্গে।
আচ্ছা,
আর না সি এর ক্ষেত্রে রিটার্ন 0 or whatever you're returning, for people who know C, I'm telling to those, that's like the end of the program. Okay, so it's starting from hash include stdio.h and it's ending in the return 0 1 whatever you're returning. এই রিটার্ন স্টেটমেন্ট এইসবগুলো পড়ানো হবে, এটাই। সো আর কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন নাতাশা?
না দাদা।
ওকে, অনন্যা বুঝেছিস?
হ্যাঁ।
ওকে, সো রিগম I'm continuing then.
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
Okay, so I think this is the last topic. Okay, so the last topic. Okay, so features of a good code. Good আমি ডাবল কোডে লিখেছি। ওকে, সো কোডের ক্ষেত্রে or how we going to rate that this code is better than this code is like there are multiple things that we'll be looking for but a specific আজকের জন্য আমি I will just talk about clean code and maintainable code. So what do you mean by clean code? Which should be easy to read, understand and follow by humans. ঠিক আছে মানে আচ্ছা আমি এক্সাম্পল দিয়ে দিচ্ছি straight. Okay, so I for explaining, I've taken two files. Okay, main.py and app.py. Suppose this is one code you have written. It just says a equals to int input, b equals to int input, then print a minus b or a plus b, whatever you're trying to do. Okay, so yes, this code will run. This code will print the sum, but just a second. No. Okay, for some reason it's not running currently. So what I was trying to explain is this code will run. It won't, you won't face any issue. But thing is, if someone else will see it, like yeah, because it's evident that you are printing the sum of a and b. It's evident that you are trying to find the sum. Okay. But for big codes and also this variable name, it says a and b. Okay, so this is good, but the better approach that we use is using these kind of things. Okay, variable naming, it will also be talked about how what are the rules we need to follow when you are naming variables and all those things. Okay, so if someone sees a variable named num1, he can understand that this is a variable which will be storing the first number or any number. Okay, and then we have num2, and that is also we can understand that it's storing the second number. Okay, and in this code, as you can see, there's no message when you're taking the input, but in this code we have written this message. So it will, in the terminal you'll be getting a message that enter the first number. Then after you have entered the first number, you will get the message enter the second number. Okay, and also while we're printing the sum, we have included a sentence where in which we hadn't in the previous one. Okay, which says the addition of num1 and num2 is num1 plus num2. Okay, so and also the comments we have added to all the three lines and also at first. So basically it's for your understanding, and not just for your understanding, for others as well. Okay, suppose this is a 3-line code, but suppose you have a 30, 50, 100-line code. Okay, it's not possible that you will remember what the variable a is storing. Okay, so it's better that by seeing the variable name, we can understand what that variable is actually storing. It's going to help us later. In small codes, it's not going to make an issue, but in bigger codes, you'll be facing a lot of problems. Okay, this num1 and num2, it's pretty evident what they're trying to store. Then we have a proper message asking the user to enter a number, then the second number, and then the user is also getting the message that we are doing an addition. Okay, so it's a clean and maintainable code. Okay, maintainable in the sense, suppose you are in a company. Okay, this is the best way to explain it, I guess. You are in a company you developed something, and then there needed to be some changes in that code, or there were some updates that the company wanted to include, and instead of you, someone else is working on your code. Okay, so it should be easy for them to understand as well, and it should be maintainable as well. Okay, like you have given comments in all the sections, all the parts where there's an process that's happening, anything you are trying to do, so that the other person who is reading your code can understand what that part is doing, and if he wants to make some changes, uh, it will be understandable where the change should be made. So it's basically this. Suppose I will again take the triangle example. I have written a code that only can find the area of a right angle triangle. Okay, then I used a very bad variable naming scheme. Okay, instead of writing breadth or base or b, I wrote anything a, b, c, suppose. So the other person who will be trying to make changes to my code, make it more efficient, also include the other kind of triangles that we have. So it would be difficult for that person to understand which variable is being used for which thing. Suppose base I'm writing ABC, and height I'm denoting it by suppose XYZ. So it's going to be problem for the other person. Okay, so it's like, and even when you will come back to that code after a while, after days, you will yourself face problems, that what's this variable doing, what's it storing, where am I using it, okay, all those things. And for bigger codes, it's going to be a nightmare. Like literally, it's going to be a nightmare if you're using bad variable naming scheme and you are not adding comments to your code. These are like all the things, like very basic understanding of clean code and maintainable code. Okay, so okay, one sec. If anybody have any questions regarding this part or the earlier ones, feel free to ask. Okay, I had them over here as well. Okay, so any Rigom, do your work, pick any random guy or maybe a girl, sorry, and
Yeah, you can do the honors as well.
I think it should be better if you do it.
Okay. Okay, so we have Orijit Mondol.
হ্যাঁ দা বলো।
আমাদেরকে একটু ওই বেসিক্যালি আগের পার্টটা একটু সামারাইজ করে বলতে পারবে?
মানে গুড কোড বলতে কি বোঝানো হচ্ছে?
হ্যাঁ, একদম।
মানে বেসিক্যালি যখন আমরা এই যেটা বললো যে যখন ওটা এই ছোটখাটো কোডের ক্ষেত্রে মানে যখন কোডিং করছি তখন এই মানে যখন এই মানে এই যে ইনপুট বা যেগুলো দেয়া হচ্ছে সেগুলো যদি আমরা হচ্ছে মানে এই কমেন্ট বা ধরো ওই যে ভেরিয়েবল গুলো নিচ্ছি সেগুলো যদি স্পেসিফাই করে না দিই তাহলে পরবর্তীকালে বড় কোডিং মানে বড় যখন কোডটা অনেক বড় হবে মানে লেন্দি হবে, মানে ধরো 100-200 লাইন যেটা বললো সেক্ষেত্রে বা আরো 1000 লাইনও হতে পারে, অনেক লাইনই হয়। তো সেক্ষেত্রে হচ্ছে তখন প্রবলেম হতে পারে হচ্ছে নিজের যে কোনটার কি ভেরিয়েবল নেওয়া হয়েছিল সেটার জন্য। এছাড়াও ওই যেটা বললো যে কমেন্ট যদি না করা হয় তাহলে পরবর্তীকালে অন্য যদি কেউ হচ্ছে আমার কোডটা পড়তে যায় কোনটার কি বোঝানো হয়েছে সেটা স্পেসিফাই করে বুঝতে পারবে না অত সহজে। বেসিক্যালি এটাই,
হ্যাঁ,
এই দুটো জিনিসই প্রয়োজন।
ঠিকই বুঝেছিস। yes. Like good code যেটা বললি, okay, so মানে informally you can use that term good, okay, মানে ওর জন্য ভাবে আমি বেশি ডাবল কোটের আন্ডারে লিখেছি জিনিসটাকে, বাট লাইক in actual there's nothing like a good code. Like code will be just ranked on how efficient it is, how কতগুলো টেস্ট কেসেস পাস করতে পারছে, কতটা কম স্পেস খাচ্ছে বা কতটা কম টাইমের মধ্যে এক্সিকিউট করছে, এইসব জিনিসের উপরে আমরা কোডকে র্যাঙ্ক করি বা পারফরমেন্স মেজারটাও ভাবে, এটাই হয় কোডের ক্ষেত্রে। So yes, good. There are also other, in fact, many other things like that you need for to make your code to make your code better. Okay, but আমি ওগুলো নিয়ে কথা বললাম না, কজ লাইক বেসিক্সের জন্য এই দুটো জিনিসই বোঝানো ঠিক হবে। বিকজ অন্য জিনিসগুলো যেমন টাইম কমপ্লেক্সিটি বল, স্পেস কমপ্লেক্সিটি বল, ওগুলোর জন্য আরো প্রিরিকুইজিটস আছে। অ্যালগোরিদম বুঝতে হবে, অ্যালগোরিদমের টাইম কমপ্লেক্সিটি, স্পেস কমপ্লেক্সিটি বুঝতে হবে, ওই নোটেশনস গুলো বুঝতে হবে, ওমেগা, বিগো, অল দোজ থিংস। সো ওগুলো বেসিক্স লেভেলে পড়ানোটা পসিবল না, ওর আগে তাহলে অনেক কিছু বুঝতে হবে। সো বেসিক্যালি কোড ইমপ্রুভ করার লাইক, আর অফকোর্স পারফরমেন্স মেজার্সের জন্য লাইক দেয়ার আর মাল্টিপল fields that you need to tick. So that's the thing. So anyone, if you have any doubts, anything, if you want to ask anything regarding what we taught today, like summarized or anything, or কালকের যদি কোনো জিনিস অসুবিধা হচ্ছিল বা কিছু, right? Someone was asking for the installation demo, right? বেগম?
হ্যাঁ, অনেকজনই চাইছিল মানে।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা। সো আজকে কি করা যাবে সেটা? তাহলে স্ট্রেট ওটা
আজকে ইনস্টলেশন ডেমোটা দিয়ে লাইক কনক্লুড করা যেতে পারে।
ওটাই বলছি যে তাহলে আজকে, আচ্ছা আমি লাস্ট বার জিজ্ঞেস করছি, কারোর কোনো অসুবিধা হলে বল, জিজ্ঞেস কর।
Anyone having any doubt, they can just freely ask, or if it's clear, they can just raise a thumbs.
আচ্ছা দাদা, তুমি মানে সিনট্যাক্স এটা কি আরেকবার ডিফাইন করতে পারবে? মানে সিনট্যাক্সটা কি যে কোটেশন মার্ক বা মানে সিম্বলস যেগুলো লাগছে এক একটা মানে স্পেসিফিক ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের জন্য, সেটাকে সিনট্যাক্স বলা হচ্ছে না কোনো এরার বা ওইটাকে সিনট্যাক্স বলা হচ্ছে? মানে মানে প্রিন্ট করার জন্য যে ব্র্যাকেট দিতে হবে, এই ব্র্যাকেটটা দেয়াটাকে সিনট্যাক্স বলছে না ব্র্যাকেট না দিলে মানে ভুল হবে সেটাকে সিনট্যাক্স বলছে?
বলি, সিনট্যাক্স হচ্ছে তোকে তোর যে একটা জেনারেল একটা রুল তোকে ফলো করতে হবে ওয়াইল কোডিং, অ্যান্ড সিনট্যাক্স তোর ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ টু ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ ভ্যারি করে, ঠিক আছে, বা রিলেটেডও হতে পারে, দ্যাটস এ ডিফারেন্ট থিং। সিনট্যাক্স এরর ইজ দ্য এরর which you will encounter when there's a, তুই কোনো একটা ভুল করেছিস সিনট্যাক্সটাতে, ঠিক আছে, যে প্রিন্ট দুটো ব্র্যাকেটসের মধ্যে হওয়া উচিত ছিল, একটা ব্র্যাকেট কোনোভাবে ডিলিট হয়ে গেছে বা ইনক্লুড করা হয়নি, then you will be facing a syntax error due to an wrong use of syntax. That's a syntax error. Okay, and syntax is basically the grammar of the language that you are working on. Okay.
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা।
যেমন suppose you will be getting this presentation, okay, and if you want other study materials, I can provide them, yes, as well, yes.
Okay, sorry for interruption, but we have with us our HOD. So, sir.
Currently, I am driving, so I just joined to check how things are going on. Okay, please continue. Yeah. So.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, and it's hopefully it's going well as well.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So
we are almost done, I think. there's a small.
Still,
Yes, sir.
Still I'm driving. That's why I couldn't join. But anyway, every day I will check. I just peep, and then I will vanish. But please continue.
Yeah.
So today the syntax. Still you are with syntax, right? So,
No, not exactly. Like someone was asking about errors that we can face while coding.
Okay.
So in that context, I was talking about syntax. But today we were just talking about how we are going to approach a problem, how we are going to think about it, the visual representations like flowchart, pseudocodes, algorithms, and all those, and how we are going to write a good code as well.
Okay, great. Okay, so please continue. I'll just listen. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, so Rigam, should Jeet start then?
Yeah, if Jeet is ready, then we can start with Jeet.
Jeet.
Yeah, hello. I hope I'm visible.
Yeah,
Yes.
you are visible. Good evening.
Oh,
Yeah, good evening. So many of you are were getting some errors, or I can say problem while setting up the environment of IDX. So let me share my screen. Yeah. So okay, let me do the IDX things for you once again, like how to log into IDX. Just a second. Yeah, I hope everyone can see my screen. Hello?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. So you need to search like IDX Google, then click on Project IDX, this page, and click on Get Started. Okay. And wait for it to load. Just accept the terms and conditions and check this. And then click on Python Flask, as we are using Python as the language. So click on Python Flask and just name your workspace, right? And let it select as PIP and this as web server type as web server. And then click on create and just wait for a few seconds, it will load. And those who are trying to set up offline, just you need to go to python.org, this website, and click on download. Okay, and you can see download has begun. Just you need to install it. If you are using Mac, just normal installation as you do, and if you are using Windows, 2-3 windows will come. Just click next, and it will get installed. And for using Python, you need a ID like VS Code or anything like Jupyter, Spider. Anyone can choose anything. So you can select VS Code and just download it from here. Like for Mac, I'm using Mac, that's why I'm clicking on download. And once this gets installed, we'll come in a setup like this. Okay, let me share my whole screen. Okay, so once you have installed, you will see a welcome page like this. Then go to this extension and here search for Python. Okay. Yeah, you can see the Microsoft Python. Just install it. Done. You're good to go. Now, once you have done this, just click on open a folder, right? Select any of the folder, like I am selecting this code, okay? And then click on this plus one icon and write main.py. Py is the extension for Python I told yesterday. Now you're good to go. Like, type anything. And I would recommend for now to stick with this IDX because it's easy to set up and like good to go, and you can store all your codes online only, and it's shareable as well. Like you can get a good dashboard. No need to set up in offline for now. Right. If you are facing any problem, if you have Python offline, that's very good. But if you're not having, just don't go to these complexities. Just use IDX for now. And once you like know all the terms and things, you will automatically understand how to use it offline as well. And if anyone still faces a problem, next day, of course, I will like start from there only from installation. I will uninstall my in my system and like install in front of you if that is required.
হ্যাঁ দাদা, ওটাই আই গেস বেটার হবে, মানে অফলাইনটা মানে যদি ইনস্টলেশনটা প্রথম থেকে নেক্সট ক্লাসে যদি দেখিয়ে দাও, কারণ অনেক সময় নেটওয়ার্ক ইস্যুর জন্য তো তখন অফলাইনটা অনেকটা হেল্প করবে।
ওকে, আই ওয়াজ নট মানে আমি এই জন্যই দেখাচ্ছিলাম না, কেন কি আমার ম্যাক ওএস আছে আর মোস্ট অফ ইউ মানে সবার উইন্ডোজ প্লাস ম্যাক, অনেকেরই ম্যাক আছে অনেকেরই উইন্ডোজ আছে, তো আই উইল ট্রাই টু ইউজ বোথ অফ দেম। দেখছি। ওকে, সো অলরেডি আমরা শেষের দিকে চলে এসেছি। তো আজকে জাস্ট স্মল আমরা একটা লাইক অ্যাক্টিভিটি করব। Just before ending, we will play a small quiz on the topics that we have learned today, right? A small 5 questions will be there, a small quiz. I am sharing the link in this message and in the WhatsApp group as well, right? A small quiz of 5 questions. Just I will recommend everyone to attend it. I've shared in group and in this section as well. Everyone, try to attend the quiz. Are you guys playing? Yeah, many of you are playing, I can see.
Jeet, check the messages box.
Okay. Can you show me why do you search Python in VS Code? Yeah, in the extension section. Just a second.
What to do after the quiz?
Just be there. I will share the everyone's result when everyone has just finished. And to answer that what to search, yeah. See, there are many things. This is a file. This is a search. And here, if you come down, this is called extension. Okay. Click on extension and then search Python. And once you have searched Python, there will be many results. Select the Microsoft's one. Right? Have you got it, Shreya? Okay. Anyone? Any more question?
দাদা ওই ফোনে যে পাইথনের এক্সটেনশন এটা ছিল, ওটাই মাঝে মধ্যে প্রবলেম হয়, মানে ওই রিলোডে বা ধরো মেসেজ মানে টাইপ করতে।
ওকে, কোনটাই বলতো?
ফোনে
IDX.
IDX .google।
ওকে, সো
এক্সটার্নাল কিবোর্ড থাকলে
হ্যাঁ ওটাই।
ফোনে মানে নট রেকমেন্ডেড টু ইউজ, বাট যদি কিছু না থাকছে তো ওটা ইউজ করতে পারিস। বা আর একটা অল্টারনেটিভ হচ্ছে, ফোনে একটা প্লে স্টোরে যদি কে সার্চ করিস Python 3 বলে একটা অ্যাপ আছে, তো দ্যাট ক্যান অলসো হেল্প।
ওকে, থ্যাংক ইউ।
If anyone is wondering which app, I will then share the link of that app after this. PyDroid 3. So after this session in the group, I will. Sure. Okay, is
দাদা
everyone
কুইজটা
clear?
দেওয়ার পর কি হবে?
Wait. Let everyone finish then. কিছুই না, just at a normal to make yourself understand that yes, everyone has done it. Has everyone played? Anyone left to play? Anyone left to play? Okay, I hope everyone has played the quiz. I will just share my screen and I will solve myself the quiz. Okay. Okay. So the question is, what is the significance of using comments in code? So I hope everyone knows which one to explain what the code does, right? Okay. Let's move to next. What is the primary purpose of a flowchart? Anyone?
To visually
represent.
Yeah. So which statement best describes an algorithm?
step by step.
The step-by-step procedure to solve a problem.
Yes. So what is the main advantage of using a flowchart in problem solving?
It provides a visual representation of the process.
Yes. And what is pseudocode primarily used for?
To outline algorithms in plain language.
Yes. Okay. Let me finish. Oh, 100%. Nice. Okay. So I hope everyone enjoyed and learned today's concept that Mustaq have shared, right? Anyone with one last time with any questions can ask. Anything related to Python.
দাদা সিউডো কোডটা আমাকে আরেকবার যদি একটু বলে দাও।
হ্যাঁ। Okay. So let me open screen. So pseudocode basically যখন আমরা কোনো জিনিস বানাই বা সাপোজ আমি একটা ভেরি শর্ট মানে নট রিলেটেড টু প্রোগ্রামে একটা অন্য এক্সাম্পল দিয়ে বলছি যে যখন আমরা কোনো রান্না বানাতে যাই তখন আমরা ফার্স্ট কি করি যে একটা রেসিপি দেখি যে হাউ টু ডু ফার্স্ট এটা ফার্স্ট সেকেন্ড এটা থার্ড এটা ফোর্থ এটা লাস্টে এটা, তাই তো? ফার্স্টে তো গিয়ে রান্না করতে স্টার্ট করে দিই না। তো ওই যে রেসিপিটা নিজের ভাষায় লিখলাম আমি, ওটাই হচ্ছে pseudocode. So while coding, before writing the actual code in my own language, I will write first. I need to take an input, then I need to add both of the numbers, then I need to do output, then stop. Right? To make in mind clear that what the code I am going to write. And pseudocode এই জন্য ইম্পর্টেন্ট কেন কি ওটা কোনো ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ রেসপেক্টিভ না। তো যে কোনো ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ পাইথন, জাভা, সি, C++, যে কোনো ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে করছিস, জাস্ট রাফলি তুই লিখলি যে আমি করবোটা কি, বাস। এবার তুই যে ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজ ইউজ করছিস সেই ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের অনুযায়ী সিনট্যাক্সটা তোকে লিখতে হবে।
বাট ওই সেম জিনিসটা তো তোমার অ্যালগরিদম আর ফ্লো চার্টেও অ্যাপ্লাই হচ্ছে। লাইক ফ্লো চার্টটা তুমি ওটা ভিজুয়ালি একটা রিপ্রেজেন্ট করছো আর অ্যালগরিদম স্টেপ বাই স্টেপ।
বলছি তো ফার্স্টে ফ্লো চার্ট কি ভিজুয়ালি আমি দেখতে পাচ্ছি ফার্স্টে প্রোগ্রামটা কোথা থেকে যাচ্ছে, ঠিক আছে, হয়ে গেল। দেন অ্যালগরিদমে রাইটিং ডাউন, যে ভিজুয়ালি দেখে তো আমার কিছু হবে না, পরপর লিখবো স্টেপস গুলো কি কি। দেন ওই এবার পরপর কি স্টেপ 1, স্টেপ 2, স্টেপ 3, স্টেপ 4, এটা হচ্ছে অ্যালগরিদম। আর pseudocode মোর টুয়ার্ডস কোড, মানে কোডিং না, কিন্তু কোডের মতো দেখতে একটা রাফ ওয়ার্ক বানিয়ে নিলাম।
আচ্ছা। এবার বুঝেছি।
the rough work of the all the steps যে ওখানে কি লিখবো যে input one thing, then input the second thing, input the third thing, but actually যদি rough work করে input 1 2 3 এরকম করে নিলাম কোডে।